going on, everybody? What's up, comic and pop culture fans? This is James with Mint Hunter Comics, and I haven't done a live stream in so long that I keep forgetting I have to look up there and not there. What's going on, everybody?
So what's going on, James? Thank you so much for bringing us into your home.
My
We are
pleasure.
greatly appreciated. And just to break it down, we'll each identify ourselves. I'm Nick Barrucci, CEO, publisher, Dynamite Entertainment. These are my colleagues, Jen and Jesse. Jen, Jesse, shout out who you are, shout out your stores. We're going to talk about comics and fun and the experience, the industry, how much we love it, and how much we're going to grow it.
Yeah, we got everybody in the house today. We got brick and mortar shop owners. We've got a CEO here. And I'm just some guy. So we're going to have some fun here. We're going to dork out for you guys. Feel free to dork out in the comments. Ms. Jen and Jesse, I've done a little research on you guys. This is actually the first time we're meeting, so it's a pleasure meeting both of you. And I thought we'd just talk about the industry today, where you're seeing it going, that sort of thing. Maybe some fun little tips and stories for the community here. So, Nick, I'll pass it off to you, my friend.
Sure. I mean, again, real quick, Miss Jen has the great Space Cadets store in Texas. Jesse is Jesse James. The guy has done more cool stuff in the industry than most people I know. He's getting near 400 exclusive covers for the Binge Bar. Let me tell you something about both these guys. And I'm going to say something about you too first, James. The thing I love about James, I want all the fans to know. My hands are moving. Okay. The thing I love most about James, I feel like I'm doing this different. My internet caught up. He's a great ambassador for the industry. James has got a positive voice. He's always telling the fans what's real, how things are, the way he sees it, but he does it in a great positive way. There's a reason why he has over 10,000 subscribers already. It's because fans love him, they share him, and the industry needs more people like him. Jen owns Space Cadets Comics in Texas, like I said, and her and Jesse started the Comic Book Shopping Network. And this is a Facebook retail site where Jen and Jesse brought as many retailers as they could to help create a platform to sell more directly to consumers, to grow everybody's audience. And it is such a positive platform, which is really important to me when I see people who love comics like they do. It is an incredibly positive platform. They have retailers that have brick and mortar shops who the Comic Book Shopping Network helped either save their business or allowed their business to grow. They have people that are successful, but in their success, what they do is that they grow the industry and they make the fans on the Comic Book Shopping Network really feel special. They've created exclusives for the network, and they work very hard to make sure both the fans and the retailers are taken care of. They have less than probably 0.1% delinquencies from consumers on their platform because Jesse and Jen, again, they only onboard retailers that can do a job right to make sure they take care of the fans. But if there are some fans that fall behind, they discontinue them from the group. So you can see the group, but you can't buy until you're approved. And now Jen and Jesse are really hands-on here, both with retailers and with the fans. And the one thing that I'll say is, which is something that is incredible, they actually make no money from the network outside of what they make themselves. They do it from the bottom of their heart because they're here to grow the industry. And when they approached me about the comic book shopping experience, which we only call the experience, I knew I had two great partners. You know, we all started just about at this similar times, when Jen opened up her store, Jesse and I both started at like 12 years old, and they're just great people. And I'm going to stop being Italian for a minute and shut up and let those guys talk now, because it's their turn. But before I do that, I wouldn't be Italian if I didn't throw out. Before I do that, I want to say hi, EL, hi, Caleb, hi, Steve, hi, Mr. Comics. Hey, the low grades, Justin, thank you all for joining. And as soon as Jen and Jesse finish doing their intros and talking a little, we're going to talk about a prize we're going to give fans who give us the best question. So,
yeah,
Jen, ladies first.
Oh, first I have to address the elephant in the room. No blue Wookiees were harmed in the making of this coat.
Thank God.
It is all humanely sourced plastics. So
perfect. You had us worried, Jen. You had us worried.
We're not going to have PETA coming after this video. That's good. Yeah.
No, and it's for us in Texas, it's 65 today, so it might as well be Hoth. So that's why I'm wearing so much clothes. It's so cold back here.
Oh man. I went to university in Syracuse, so my skin is rewired. I can handle like the coldest of the colds. So
that's the kind of place where it gets cold enough when you breathe in, your nose hairs freeze.
Oh yeah, sure.
James, thank you so much for having me on. I just wanted to say hi to everybody. I love being a retailer. There's nothing that gets me more jazzed than helping someone find the thing that they want or the thing that their friend wants. So they've been sent in to come get, because oftentimes people come in and say, I don't know what I'm looking for, but it's got a name of this. And you say, I know what that thing is. And you make them a hero, which is what you really want to do. So I love doing that. And I love helping other retailers do the same thing, which is what we do with CBSN. And I like getting everybody the information they need to have to go to their local comic shop to buy the things, which is what the experience is about. So thanks for letting us have a platform to talk about those things, get everyone jazzed about collecting.
Woo woo. That's what we're all about here. So,
and just real quick, John, now this shows you how our community is. We got John saying he remembers me selling him comics in high school.
Ah!
That's pretty nuts. Hey man, how you doing? Long time.
Nick, you want to share when that was?
Well, it was right around the time that they created electricity. So,
oh yeah, back when people used to ride around on alligators. They didn't invent horses yet.
Exactly. We had domesticated alligators. So, this is really cool. That was like, 35 years ago. So when you get to be my age, you start to remember everything like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm still alive at this age.
Wow. When I was in high school, I was the only dork. I would leave school. I'd go home and I'd read comics. All my friends, no one was into it at all. And I actually think the last 10 years, all these superhero movies is helping kids in high school and middle school and grown-ups and little kids. Now everybody is into the whole superhero thing. And it's like weird if you don't get into the whole superhero thing. I wish I was in high school now.
Oh man. So Jesse, let's have you. Come on, man.
All right. So, I celebrate 40 years, January 25th, 1982 is when I started at the Friendly Neighborhood Comic Book Store in Las Vegas. It's a historical, fun road I had been on. In week 2, they had Jack Kirby, so I was watching the line for Jack Kirby. I had dinner with him that night, and that's when my comic book sensation was. I had to own a comic book store, an arcade, and I'm seeing him right now in an 8,000 square foot comic book store and arcade. So I think in the comic book industry, you could do whatever you want. You just have to have a mindset to sell comics, take care of your customers, and create great platforms. Comic Book Shopping Network was created for orphan customers in general, customers around the nation that didn't have comic book stores, 17,000 cities across the nation, 2,000-3,000 stores. got 15,000 people out, or 15,000 cities out there that don't have comic book stores. So our job was to get comic books in their hand. Jen and I own a company that sells on an average of 1,800 items a day. And with that sale rate, we have a great responsibility of shipping, trusting your sellers, and keeping pace with your customer base. So I think what we're doing today, while you guys were talking, I'm sharing out and doing all the stuff we do in the comic book world. But I think it's one of those things that we are in a world that I say this every day, the happiest comic book fan in the world has a comic book in their hand. That's our job to do. That's what we're going to do today, is help people find ways to buy comics.
Preach.
It's the most important thing. It's really, really the most important thing. Like I said, they built a great business. They have a platform where they've invited retailers, and it's a very simple mantra that they have, treat the customers right, bring them comics, and follow through in your commitment. And the customers just treat the retailers and support them when you commit to it. Mm-hmm. Nobody's forced to sell anything they can't sell. Nobody's forced to buy anything they don't want to buy. Just go through with your commitments.
And the great thing, Nick, about it is last night, I celebrated doing my 925th show. And, when you turn that camera on and you go, it's just like doing your first show, because you're just slinging comics to customers. Customers are, it's either comic book therapy that they're looking for. A vast amount of them are comic book therapy because they don't know what we're going to show. Others are there because they're collectors, right? And I think a big group just wants to be with a group of like-minded people. Just like here, we're all like-minded people in the comic book industry. So I think it's pretty cool that we can reach people at any moment, at any time. James has a great YouTube page that reaches out to a ton of people, a collective of people that 99% of them will never meet each other. And I think that's the magic that we're doing.
And let me tell you, when you do finally meet each other, it's a blast.
Yeah.
It's absolutely great. It's the best community there is.
Agreed.
I've been in the whole sports community thing. I've been in other dorky things, but ain't nothing like comic books. You know it. So
everyone's so passionate about it, right? They have their thing that they collect, and it's okay if it's not the same thing you do. Mm-hmm. But you can be like, okay, I tell you what, if you'll sit still and let me talk to you about how much I like Venom for like a half an hour, I will sit and listen to you talk to me about how much you like Booster Gold for half an hour, and then we'll be best friends.
That's right. You better not just Booster Gold.
Yeah. I'm always telling people why Kyle Rayner is actually the best Green Lantern. And
all right, we're not having that conversation. So, no, all kidding aside, and let's make the sports analogy. If you love the Jets or the Eagles or the Dallas Cowboys, you have to dislike everybody else. It's just math. You need somebody to win, somebody to lose. In comics, it's totally different. You can like Kyle Rayner, and I can like Hal Jordan. But the thing is I could like Batman and the Flash and Green Lantern and not like, let's say, Aquaman, right? Mm-hmm. But if one of my favorite writers goes on Aquaman, I'm going to try it. It's going to be something. So I can like a lot and you can like different, and we can all still enjoy. This is why I love a comic store over social media, because when you're in a comic store, you can have that conversation of your friends and say, oh my God, you know what? This Avengers versus X-Men crossover rocks. And let me tell you why. Mm-hmm. And then somebody else can have the conversation and say, well, I really love Deceased by Tom Taylor right now. Something's fishy about that guy. By the way, everybody watching, if you haven't hit thumbs up yet, hit thumbs up for James, for Jesse, for Jen. Even though I'm here, hit that thumbs up. Let's help James's algorithm, and hit that share button, because sharing is caring.
We need them to have. They need to add, there you
go. I can't do that because invariably the wrong finger stays up by itself. And favorite writer, I don't know that there is a favorite writer for me. I will say I'm a huge fan of Jeff Johns, mostly because
yeah, me too.
Yeah, I mean, there's very few writers that can really handle that many voices.
Yeah.
Whether it's the Justice Society or even when he did the Justice League, and he'll make some characters. You'll start caring about characters you didn't realize you could care about. Mm-hmm. And then he did the two most important things to me. He brought back Hal and he brought back Barry,
And speaking of writers that are really good at making you care about like D-list villains and heroes, Mr. Tom King. I think he was great. I love Tom King. I wouldn't say he's my favorite, but he's really good at that exact specific thing of bringing the D-list whoever into the spotlight. So I've been in a big Tom King appreciation mode right now. I'm a big fan of Ostrander. Again, Jeff Johns, all the above. What about you, Ms. Jen there? You got a favorite?
I have a problem because I'm a big fan of a bunch of writers, but if you made me choose like some names out of a hat, Cullen Bunn, Rom V, and Jeff Lemire. If it was a desert island and I was only allowed to have 3 writers, I'd probably do okay with those 3.
What about you, Mr. Jesse?
You know what? John Layman's my guy. Anybody that only drinks dark beer, that's who I'm going to go with.
And anybody who can write a book about chickens being illegal. I mean, whoever thought that would be a fun book to read?
Yeah, I think so. I think in our industry, it's a little bit challenging. I think as a comic book fan, it's easy for me to pick writers, right? Corvette Saga, greatest series in my lifetime for me, right? Wow. But I think when you're in the industry and you start to get to know everybody, you're kind of looking at their stories, but you're like, oh my gosh, that guy's a cool guy, so I'm going to follow him. I'm a huge, small indie press supporter. And those are the guys and gals I really look up at and say, man, they're really working hard for their own brand. They have to do their own printing, their own shipping, their own cold calls, run their own Facebook pages, and hope they sell 100 copies. And so I kind of gravitate to those indie writers as a whole, as far as my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
Jesse, you bring up something that I wanted to actually talk about that I don't think most people are aware. You talked about how they're hustlers, right? Mm-hmm. And I think anyone in the comic industry, I mean, hell, even me, it's some of those crazy videos I do, it takes like 10 hours sometimes to edit them. Why don't you, either any of you could chime in here. How much time does this hobby of ours and business occupy our time? And how much joy does it make sense, even though it is very time consuming, to give it back for the community?
Ladies first, Jen, go for it.
Well, for me, I feel like when you get to be in the industry as long as I and Jesse and Nick have been, that you find yourself feeling a great responsibility for the people that are coming up behind you. So for new shop owners, to be a mentor peer group for them takes time, but is so worth it. Because we had peer groups that took care of us when we were coming up in the industry. And then for creators that are just trying to find a way to get their work into shops, we spend a lot of time trying to connect other stores with really great work so that they can get on the stands like Jesse was talking about. And we spend a lot of time live trying to, inform a public so that they don't feel nervous about going into a local comic shop, that no one's going to judge them if they don't know everyone's first appearance, because none of us did when we started, that they can feel just fine going in and saying, I don't know the things, teach me the things, and let them know that the community is super friendly. So all of us spend a lot of time doing this, but it's not because we're earning paychecks to do it. That's not the way we see it. We see it. We do this stuff because we love doing this stuff. Otherwise, we would spend 8 hours doing it and not 16 hours a day doing it.
Yeah, you wouldn't have seen us like have a conversation with you and pop on a live stream, 3 hours later. It is because we love it. Hey, Wolf HNF. I'm pushing James to do a few auctions as well. He caught me on the gem auction last night. Everybody, let us know if that sometime soon you want to see James have a nice little auction sales item with me, Jen, Jesse, maybe one or two other people. Because when we do these, the beauty about doing these is we get to support the live streamer. We get to support James's channel because they're really great guys, really part of the family. And it's all about growth. So, hey, Scott Van, thank you. You're very kind. But, Jesse, talk about yourself. And I'm going to get some books for the prize. So, Jesse, you talk, and then when I come back, I'm going to show the prize books.
Okay. Yeah. So I do everything different when it comes to time management. I know this is going to sound strange and crazy, but that's the way I work. I base everything on, do I deserve 2 McRibs? Right? So if you watch my Facebook page, every day I post the time when I can have 2 McRibs. And I base my day on how many people did I help? How many creators did I help? How many people's stuff did I get shipped out? How many people did I sell? Did I keep up with my social networking? Social networking for me, pretty challenging. I have 48,000 people that follow me. I have 5,000 people on Facebook. And so I think a lot of people in our world kind of want to know who you are beyond the comic book world. So whether it be McRibs, me being a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan, me on rants about Wingstop being out of chicken wings, that type of stuff is what really drives my business. If people look, I'm on one of the biggest page and I'm on there every day and I never selling anything. I'm showing great stuff that I picked up. So I think when you start looking at your hours, per week or per month, I think it's more about, did I fail? How did I fix it? And how did I make it better? And when I'm successful, did I share that with someone and show them how to be successful too? There's a great article. I tell people about this when I do my speeches. Last year during the pandemic, I called, you just put Jesse James calls 147 stores in a week. And I called 147 stores and just said a simple thing, how can I help you? How can I show you how to turn on your phone? Do you have a piece of paper? Do you have a pen? Do you know how to ship product? The following week, there's a write-up about Jesse James gets death threats for helping stores across the nation. You have to choose sides. It's either you're helping your community or you're anti against your neighbor. That I can't help that guy because he's down the street from me, because if he's successful, I'm going to lose customers. No, we all are successful as one. Mm-hmm. So it all comes down to that hour. What do you spend within that hour, and how many people do you help? And are you bettering yourself? Are you bettering your community? And I think once you get to that stage, I think that's how we kind of look at our time management. I don't know I'll leave it on this. I don't know too many store owners that have a time log of how many hours they work a week. Because if they did, they probably would never do it, right? They would say, holy crap, I'm working 130 hours a week. Forget this. So I really think time is about knowing how to manage it. And how to use it correctly. And if you get that part in, comics are easy, right? Comics are the easiest things in the world if you just make it an easy job or passion, not even job.
Yeah. I gotta give a shout out to Tom at Big Dog Inc. because yes, he is absolutely those things that he's saying there about trying to give back to creators and helping people out. He's not just saying those things. He does that. He's active in doing those all the time.
Yeah. And Tom's probably one of the greatest examples. I had just opened up 13 years ago. Tom had pulled up, and at that time there's about 45 stores in the city of Arizona or Phoenix. And he pulled up and he goes, hey, I'm Tom from Big Dog Geek. I'm like, awesome, great. What can I do for you? Well, I'm pitching this book, Penny for Your Soul. I go, okay, cool. So I said, don't even tell me about the book. Tell me about your story. And so he tells me about the story. And I said, you know what? How many people in town have bought your series? Well, I've been to 12 stores. No one has bought them yet. I said, you know what? Just pull up your truck. I'll take them all. And because it's fun to grow with people in this industry. And if you're going to grade people on this A+ status, oh, well, you've done this and you've done that. I want to be with that guy who's just starting, because he's probably going to be your best partner you ever had. He's become a great family member, great friend. We ship his Kickstarters for him. But it's a great story about someone going to store live, being told no, until he finds someone that says, yes, let's do it.
Yeah, good on you, man. That's great. That's a great
So
story.
to let all the fans know, we've got 22 minutes before we get to the prize. So we are going to hit up best question. And Dynamite has just done a few homage covers to some of our best-selling characters with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And we actually had these available last night. And what I want to do...
There you go. Awesome.
There we go.
Yeah.
James has got his.
Actually,
So,
is that the one? Yeah, I did a giveaway just for that one. That one's going out to a fan from the giveaway of my last video. I got to get that out on Monday.
Sweet. So we're going to give away Vampirella 25 Turtles Homage, both the FOC cover and the FOC incentive. We're going to give away the Barbarella Turtles Homage, the FOC and the FOC incentive. We're going to give away the Red Sonja Turtles Homage, the FOC and the FOC incentive. And we're going to go to Purgatory, FOC and FOC incentive. And we're going to go to Nick's Turtles Homage, FOC, FOC incentive. But just when you thought we were done, we're going to go to Army of Darkness Turtles Homage, FOC and FOC incentive. Wolf, you're right. They were on the show last night. We were offering these for $15 a pair. But tonight, they're free to the person who asked the best question for any of us. So Jen said she better think of a great question. Classic.
Yeah. Guys in the comments, you could ask us anything. We'll answer it. I mean, we got some titans here with us here. We CEOs, we got brick and mortar shop owners, so they'll know. They'll have some answers. So, yeah.
So from what I'm going to do is, John was kind enough to say that he remembered me from back in the day, and I've been doing this since I was 12, and scary enough, probably Weekend Warrior since I was 13. Next year is going to be Dynamic Force's 30th anniversary and about my 40th anniversary in the industry. So I started selling comics at a young age as well. My dad once took me to a convention, was happy I was getting rid of all my comics. I went in with 2 boxes. I came out with 6.5 boxes. He never took me to another convention again. So I had to take taxis to conventions to be able to set up at 13. So, but Jesse and Jen have this great platform, and we started talking. I loved what they were doing. And I think out of the blue, I sent them a few giveaways. And then months later, they approached me and said, my part of my background is QVC and Home Shopping Network. And they said, well, they invited, I'll let them say it because they're the ones who approached me, but basically they invited me to be part of this new platform, the comic book shopping experience, and make it as much about built towards having content as well as sales. And we've hired line producers. We've made it a little bit more high tech. We have producers that prep the shows with the retailers and the hosts. They do a post-mortem. We try and get the graphics up. We, not quite as complex as what you're doing right now, but basically building towards that and making the content shows even better. And we've invested a lot of time and a lot of effort. I joke and say, you know, when Jesse and Jen approached me, I said, all right, what's another 25 to 40 hours a week of work? You
Sure.
know,
Yeah.
it was all an abstract number at the time,
Right.
you know?
Well, here's what's crazy about when you do live shows, especially, and Jen can attest to this, is I'll do a show, right, for 2 hours. Our shows are 2 hours. And you're slinging away. And in that amount of time, I'm showing about 500 books. I mean, I'm just like bam, 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 bam. I got pullers and invoicers and all that stuff. But I'll get up at, when I get up at 5 a.m. to start my day, I'll have this list of people that rewatch the show, right? They would watch the whole show by themselves for 2 hours, and they got 30 books they want to buy that didn't sell. And so that's what's great about these platforms is they're not, it's not, oh, you got to be live to get them. No, it's static. It stays, right? The question about the which I think is a great comic question about the secret hot book that you should be looking at. I'm dead on 100% Cerebus. So I think Cerebus is the next big draw that no one's paying attention to. I forgot who asked that question. And the reason for that was Gru was actually the book that I was stockpiling. I got Eclipse #1s. I got like 30 copies, 30 PC #1s, 50 Marvel #1s. And what happens? It gets optioned. And so when I look at Cerebus, I'm kind of like saying, okay, well, that's about the same type of character. It can't be that much to get, right? The properties. So that's who I think is the hot secret book out there right now.
I want to ask Wolf a question since he's here live. Why do you think the market for comics sucks right now? I want to ask you, a serious question. Tell us why you think that. Because we would love to answer what our opinion is to see what makes you feel that way. It's funny. I always tell my guys, you shouldn't just read the best comics out there, and I'm not going to name names, but read some of the worst comics out there right now. Because if you don't read the worst comics, you can't see the mistakes other people are making. So you've got to be open to reading more than your comfort zone.
Right.
If there is a book with a bad review, find out why. Read it, see what's wrong with the book.
Actually, Nick, if I can interrupt right there, you said figure out your own opinion for yourself. Dude, I saw Eternals. I loved it. And like the critics haven't been so much on that. And I'm like, I thought it was good. So yeah, formulate your own opinion, read different things. I agree, dude.
And what I'll say about the Eternals is it's a very ambitious movie with a lot of moving parts. That would have been an easy movie to butcher. But that movie sustained itself and did as good of a job as you could to give all the characters some balance. So, I would say that's no different than The Boys. The Boys would have been an easy TV series to ruin. There's hardly any TVs. Eric Kripke and Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg put together a great team. We're very fortunate. There's barely any movie or TV series that can balance that many characters. And there is a lot of characters. You have the Seven. You have Huey. You had his dad in the first season. You had so much going on, so many secondary characters, the new characters in the second season, and still having to balance the old characters. Exactly. You got it
sitting there.
So managing something like the Eternals, that's a difficult job. So considering that's the groundswell for the future, I think it was a great start, and I can't wait to see what comes out of this. I was saying, I'll ask a question. Now, if you watched last night's Jim Mintz show, no fear if you chime in. But right now, after Stan Lee, after Jack Kirby, who is the most important person in the Marvel Cinematic Universe today? So I'm going to give everybody, for the lag, 2 minutes, all the fans. Let's have the fans answer first. but who is the most important creator in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? All right, so let's say, well, lots of comics are very high, and I'm not just talking about Hulk 181s and stuff, but talking about just like regular books that just came out. Let me type part two. Go ahead, type part two.
Well, I think that's a personal. I
Steven,
think what
if you watch Gemmin's show, you got to tell me, did you watch Gemmin's show or did you not? Because I agree with you. When you look at everything, the Infinity Gauntlet going into Avengers Endgame, Thanos, now you have Eros, you have Warlock coming. Shang-Chi was based on the first work that Starlin did. So Jim Starlin, yes, the most important person in the Marvel Cinematic Universe today. So sorry, man, Jesse.
No, I was just going to say on his question, that sounds, I think about the comic book market. There's no time in my 40 years that the comic book market has been at this peak because of all the platforms that we have. You got to keep in mind, we got Kickstarters that are doing $1 million with Boom, right? You got Kickstarters doing $500,000. Dan Mendoza just did 250,000. These are real sales. These aren't wholesale, right? When we talk Diamond or Lunar and we say, 500,000 copies sold, that's wholesale numbers. We're talking about real numbers. There's been never a greater time in our history for the comic book industry with as many platforms, as many pages that comic books are sold than ever. And I'm as going on 40 years, I can tell you that's a lot of years I'm comparing it to. I understand where you're saying, well, stuff are high right now. I'm glad stuff are high because I definitely don't want it low. So I think the misconception is it's like when you talk about CGC. Well, CGC is only 2% of the overall business in the comic book industry. 98% of the customers don't see CGC their stuff. But because it's cool to talk about CGC, we talk about CGC. Key books, we talk about more key books than anything else. Why? Because it's fun to talk about. So I think I understand where your point is, but coming from the business aspect, there's no better time. The comic market is at its highest peak right now.
I think what's happened is that, in the 90s when I started, you had to wait for the yearly Overstreet or the monthly Wizard, and prices really could not move very quickly because of that. And now what you're seeing is because I can go live and I'll get a really great copy of something, and I know what its last sold price on apps or on eBay is. I can say this one I think is better than the ones that sold. I can see if there is a new high that's attainable by selling it live. And then that really is the new value for the book. So we're seeing actual values of books be changed so much more quickly than they ever have been able before, because we don't have to wait for any print. It's happening every day. New high prices are being realized at auction, at Heritage and other places. And I think it's actually course corrected into being where comic books really should be as value right now.
Sure.
So Comic Journey, I agree with you that Shooter is up there because the freedom that Shooter gave creators, the royalty system that he created for creators, really helped Marvel advance and grow at a time where it looked like Marvel may shut down. Because, talk to John Romita Sr. and he'll tell you basically every month they were betting how soon the industry was going to fall apart. Howard Chaykin in the 70s used to say we're at the end of the beginning. So Shooter definitely, but I was really focused on which creator created more stories and more characters. But again, this goes back to what I said earlier. We can all have an opinion and have a polite agreement or disagreement. Going back to Wolf HNF, pull that up real quick. So I'm not poor or anything. I'm middle class, but comics are now like $5 each, and like it's $6 or $7 for just a regular variant. But so Wolf, I'll say this: yes and no to your second comment there. $6 or $7 variants are not necessarily good for the business if fans start jumping off comics. It is a hard balance that publishers and retailers have. The problem that we all have is that when there are books that are priced at at $2.99 to try and make it more affordable. The fans love it, but there's two books in particular that come to mind. Saga and Spawn are $2.99 each. So fans love that, but retailers aren't happy with it because everything costs retailers more today. Rent costs more, employees cost more. All prices are increasing. UPS fees, shipment fees, cost of bags and boards, everything's going up. So there are external forces that are affecting everything. And people sometimes ask us why we do a lot of variants. I'll start with it's because I used to buy comics 3 for $25 and all the covers were ripped off. So now I need to see covers everywhere. We do a lot of FOC variants and a lot of incentives for retailers because for the retailer that can only afford so much and is struggling, when we do an incentive, when we do lower run incentives, it helps them make more money, and it helps the smaller retailers more than it helps the bigger retailers. So no, I get what you're saying. And then the only other thing I'll add to what you're saying is we should never close our mind to working out a deal with a retailer. If you have a retailer you're supporting strongly and you say, I really want to get some of these variant covers, but can we, if I buy them on a regular basis, what can we do? If you're spending more money with your retailer, more likely than not, he or she or them or they will work with you. Mm-hmm. So it's up to you. It's up to you to also talk to your retailer. And if there are comics that you want that are too expensive, if it keeps you engaged in the industry, buy the trade paperback. Ask your retailer to order the trade paperback for you. See if there's a reprint of the book. There are a lot, using Hulk 181, which has popped up a few times. There are plenty of reprints of Hulk 181 that you can get and read. There are plenty of reprints of Spider-Man 129, which one of the fans said, I bought it for $800. Now it's worth double. But Jen and Jesse can tell you just as much as I can. When you've got your food jumping up 6-7% in cost, your shipping jumping up, you really need to make every dollar count. And as a publisher, we have to balance how to help retailers and fans. So I don't think any decisions are ever made in a vacuum, and I know that doesn't make everybody happy, but I thought I would give that answer. I love variants. Sometimes the main cover is so ugly, mother couldn't love it. But cover B is beautiful. Like you get a cover I love instead of being that's that's so funny.
Well, and keep in mind, we're talking about comic book fans. I don't think there's any other fan out there that I can't tell you how many people have called their wife or their husband and said, hey, is there any way we could pay the insurance next week? So I got to get this book, right?
Right.
We're completionists. We like that buzz of having that book. Even though they made 250,000 copies of that book, they have to have that book. I can't tell you how many times I put an X-Force #1 poly bag up, and people are going crazy. Oh my gosh, I'll take 5 and 10. I'm like, they made 1 million of these. These aren't going out of stock. Every time I buy a collection, there's 20 copies in it. But comic book fans, I come from big box retail for Nordstrom for a long time, and you're selling great product, great service. Comic books, you're kind of this gatekeeper, right? You're buying something from someone, they're bringing it to you, you become the gatekeeper of the comic, you give it to that person, now they're the gatekeeper of that comic, and so this comic just keeps on getting passed around. This might have been with 5 people, right? But still a valuable product. It's not, oh my gosh, it's been owned 5 times, I need it, that's number 29, it completes my collection. So I think when you're talking new issues are a weekly choice. Back issues is a non-time sensitive thing. You can buy them whenever you want, right? Yep. So and the final part about variants and exclusives is anytime you can give one more creator, a cover artist, colorist, a job, that's great stuff.
If I actually can cut in here, I think that's a good time to bring up. These variants are a good place to give opportunities to other people that might have missed the train. Maybe this is their opportunity to finally get a cool variant out. For example, I am actually going to be designing a variant cover for Nick. We're thinking possibly Vampirella, but guys, you're catching it here first. I hinted at it before, but that right there is something that is an opportunity that opened up to me because of Nick.
Yep.
And so that is the beauty of this industry. And the funny thing is I used to be an artist my whole life. I would always draw comics and this, and I would even like write. And then I was working on a portfolio and it was destroyed in a fire. So I rerouted my life. I became a mortgage underwriter, and it was the most boring job in the world. Now the universe is possibly correcting itself, and I have a comic book YouTube channel. I'm designing a cover that can be owned by people. I mean, that's crazy. These opportunities didn't exist. So these are the things that extra variants and incentives and these things that sort of open up, like, so
I want to answer a couple of questions real quick. So there was the one thing about the subscription model that Marvel used to had that Comic Journey feels will help the market. I'll say why I disagree with you right now. Marvel had the subscription outlet because there were less outlets to sell comics on a regular basis. You were counting on the newsstand system where you didn't know if something was selling or product was being returned. Now we have a better system. And if Dynamite or Marvel or DC or Boom were to come up with a system to bypass the retailers, we would actually screw up the industry. Monique, I will not answer if there's a Dynamite character that I would replace because I love all my children.
Well, here's a prime example, right? In the 80s, we had eBay, right? As a 12-year-old, we had eBay. Our eBay store was a spinner rack at Circle K or 7-Eleven, and you had a choice, right? You had a dollar, you could get $2 off the rack. You get your Slurpee or whatever you want to do, yelling at the old guy for bending comics to see what's behind it, that type of stuff. So eBay is just the spinner rack. But there has to be, once you start having someone like a Marvel self-distribute, you take the essence out of actually going to a comic book store and having that experience, or doing a live show and knowing you're seeing your product pulled there. People still need that experience. I get the people out in, I'm not going to mention a city, but a city that has 500 people in it. Okay, I get that. But you can go to live shows. You can go to eBay, Amazon, all these places to get this, your local Walmart. So I think at the end of the day, I don't think that is a benefit for them to do it. And it would cost them more money to ship a comic self-direct anyways.
It would, and it would just screw up the whole ecosystem that is actually working fairly well. And, that's a great point from Big Dog Inc. We wouldn't have Shannon Mayer. We wouldn't have Lucio Perillo. And, Shannon Mayer actually comes from outside of comics, and he would not be in comics at all. He would go back to a job that paid more money. So, the only other thing I'll say is, I'll add to the one point where James, a fan wants to know what the person behind you is buying. He keeps going to the back issues. Go interrupt that customer and say, "What are you buying?" No, I'm kidding. It's just funny to see that question.
What comic are you buying, Aaron?
There we go.
Yeah. Let me see. So he is buying Batman Black and White #5.
Nice.
Yeah. And
nice. That's a beautiful cover.
The exclusive. Just dropped his comic on the floor. Yeah, exactly. So there's the exclusive 2-piece set. There. So
nice.
Yeah. No, your book's fine.
Loving the Batman love, guys. Yeah. Cheers.
Monique, you'll be very excited when you see it. Having seen some of James's art, it's going to be fantastic. So many LCS oftentimes will hold back hot books or upcharge on the same day release. If there's a direct
Let me give you
subscription,
that answer. Let me give you that answer before anybody answers that. Go shop someplace else.
I was going to say same thing.
Power. You have the power. You have the wallet. Go someplace else.
Yeah.
That's the number one answer. Anybody tells you anything else, that's your answer. Take your money someplace else.
What was the book that came out that was the first Punchline? I think it was like issue 3 of a 4-issue series. I forget what it was. It was a couple of years ago.
Was Catwoman 26 or something, wasn't it?
No. Punchline. It was some kind of evil unleashed or something.
Yeah.
And basically a retailer said, I've got all these consumers coming in who want number 3, but they don't want to buy number 1 and 2, and they're going for $30 on eBay. Well, here's the answer. Sell them number 3 at cover price, but make them buy 1 and 2 at cover price. If they want the book to flip on eBay, maybe they'll still buy all 3. If they don't want the book if they want to actually read the book, you're telling them, I don't want to sit with these 2 copies on my wall. But Jesse said the perfect thing. A, go to a different retailer. B, the other thing you could do is talk to your retailer and say, look, I want to pre-order stuff. I want a subscription box. This way he has no way to screw you, because if he screws you, then he knows he's going to lose you.
Yeah, it sounds like you just need a new LCS, my friend.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give you a prime example. I was heading down to Jen's in Texas, and we stopped in Austin, and literally I had about $2,500 of product on the counter. And so I was walking around, came up, handed my card, just go ahead and charge me. Well, it's $750. I'm like, oh no, I don't want a discount. I'll pay your prices. Oh no, I can't sell you this stuff. Right? He had realized that he hadn't walked his store, and all these items I was paying his price for were now $40 books, not $20 books. So at the end, I said, you know what? Go ahead and charge me $750. I'm happy you don't need the money right now. That's a very good thing. But I walked out knowing that, listen, I'm a Google reviewer, and I'm going to tell people, listen, here's a store that won't sell you the comics if they're worth more. We're in a world that your actions, the consumer can now do something on. I'm going to be real brief on this. I have 82,000 feedback on eBay. 82,000 feedback. I've never had a neutral. I've never had a negative. You got to take care of your customers. Your customers are your link to success.
That is an outstanding feat, my friend, right there. And that is a testament to your.
That's like almost impossible.
Yeah.
The only reason why it's not impossible is because Jesse did it.
Yep.
So that's why I say it's almost impossible. You mowed me. Subscription. You're right. Subscription boxes are all fine as long as you pick them up and you don't leave them in the store holding. I will only say one thing to that. No one should have a retailer hold a subscription box more than 30 days. You should not go longer than 30 days. You should pick up your subscriptions at least once a month. That retailer is counting on you. If you can't support your retailer, how can you ask them to support you? Look, I've always said this. The industry is one huge ecosystem, and we all have to support each other. We don't grow otherwise. When I first reached out to James, I think maybe he had 7,000 subscribers, give or take. But what I saw in James was a guy who loves the industry, a guy who promotes the industry, and a guy who is great for the industry. And thanks, Comic Journey. You know, if James will have us, we'll be more than happy to come back. I think we got to cut this one short.
I'm appreciating the honesty of these questions, though. I have to say, guys, you know, you see that we've got people here that are able to answer those heavier questions, and you know, I think you guys, as guests on the channel, have really. You haven't shied away from those questions, so I'm sure we appreciate that, you know. So good job on you guys as guests for answering those, and good questions in the comments down below. Cheers.
Great question. So let's pick the winner. I think I tell you what, this is a tough one. I'm going to give it to 2 people just because I just think there are 2 people. Wolf for asking and giving his hard opinion on this. and Comic Journey for being so vested. And actually, give me one more second. Monique has also been very, very responsive here. So the three of you email me, Nick. So Mr. Comics 89. You know what? We'll do four. So Mr. Comics 89, Monique, yeah, and Comic Journey and Wolf. All four of you are going to get a complete set of all the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle homage covers that I showed, all four of you. So all four of you, please email nick.barrucci at dynamite.com. James will put it in the chat, and I'll do it myself as well as a backup. You guys can email me. Make sure you put in your screen name, as well as your real name. Yes, Wolf, you won. You won Comic Journey, Monique, and oh God, Mr. Comics 89. So all four of you won. Here's the thing. I appreciate that you guys love us as a panel. I really, really do. But I also appreciate the fact that you guys are here, because this is the kind of video that James can succeed with. We need to get James doing more live videos.
It's fun, man. I got to get into this game.
Yeah. We got to set up some interviews for him. We got to do the variant cover. We got to do the auctions and claim sales together. We got to get this all going on so that we grow this channel and we actually respond to you guys and make you guys happy. So everybody, email me. You have my email address. All four of you are going to get all those books that I showed, and I personally can't thank you enough. I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to ask James, Jesse, and Jen to close it out. But I'm going to say thank you all for being here. Thank you, James, for hosting us. Thank you, Jesse and Jen, for making it at the last minute. And I want to wish everybody a great rest of the holiday weekend and enjoy as much time with your family as possible. With everything that's happening in the world and the new strain of the virus hitting, just, take care of your loved ones and take care of yourself. Most important thing. Jen, Jess, James, what do you guys got?
I was just typing in. If anyone ever had any questions about retail, I've been in since 92, which certainly isn't as long as the longest people in the industry, but I've been in through the hard years, which are 95 and 96. If you can make it through retail during those years, you can make it through any time. This kind of feels like it was like practice for right now. If you have any questions, you can always send me messages at mingforking@yahoo.com. That's the store email and my email. So I have no personal life that I'm aware of. So
wait. That's not true. You take a few hours off on Sunday to do another job.
That's true.
Jesse?
This is Jesse James. I am on Mint Hunter Comics on YouTube. James, great host. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. You can catch me on Comic Book Shopping Network. You can catch me at Jesse James Comics. Obviously, I own the Binge Bar, which is celebrating its 926th show tonight. Guess what we're selling? We're selling comics. So we are there rock and roll. We're there swing the whole time. This is always awesome to sit in open forums. It's also awesome to have the community come together. Tom from Big Dog Inc. in here, all the customers that are watching, asking questions. It's always cool to be part of a great open community that just can talk about anything, get some good comic book therapy. So thanks a lot, James. I really appreciate the buying here.
Well, I certainly appreciate having you guys on here, and I like the open conversation too. I like that these certain questions were asked, and I just had a great time with you all. I'd love to have you back again for claim sales or whatever we got going on in the future. Mm-hmm. I know I'm going to try to do a big one. I got so many statues I got to get rid of. I've got a huge statue sale. December. Oh, yeah, by the way, guys in the comments, statue sale. Did I not mention it enough?
By the way, Never, before I forget, never drop a comic while you're doing a live show. Just so you guys know.
Right.
Edit that out, especially after the customer's already paid for it. So edit that out for me if you could. So,
all right, guys.
okay.
Well, thank you very much to everyone in the comments. I greatly appreciate it. And anybody have a catchphrase? I say keep on hunting. Anybody got something?
Keep on hunting. Keep on enjoying collecting.
Yeah,
there you go.
Greatest comic book fan in the world is a comic book fan that has a comic in their hand.
There we go.
Man.
Really
I don't have any good ones.
Caleb, you go to dynamite.com editorial. There is a submission form. So go there. The guys are a little backed up with everything going on, but feel free to submit it. And we're just all backed up, still working from home with everything going on. So, just keep on trying. That's all you could do, Writers keep writing, artists keep drawing. James just said it earlier, he had to pull away from art for a while and now he's getting back into it. So keep your heart strong, keep going. And we live in a world where whether you're a writer or an artist, you can write fan fiction if you want. You can go on Amazon Kindle and write. You can sell direct to consumer. If you're an artist, you have so many different platforms to show your artwork. Instagram, DeviantArt, so many different places, and just be polite and consistent. And you will have a future if you work hard enough and you focus, because that's the one thing. I think Denzel Washington said it best. Dreams without a goal are just dreams. You need to have a goal. So you need to figure out how to make that goal happen. So everyone, you are wonderful. Thank you. None of us could do this without you. So know that in your hearts. You make it possible for us to bring you the joy that you have. So thank you all.
All righty. Until next time, guys.
Till next time.